this building, right? You stand outside, you're a civilian, all of a sudden you're coming in, you're different.
Welcome to Veterans in Crisis podcast. We're doing a special podcast today from the ERV Opening. We have two lovely ladies in, one from Sunderland CCG and one from Sunderland University. Would you like to introduce yourself, ladies?
Hi, I'm Anne Fox. I'm Director of Nursing Quality and Safety for Sunderland CCG and a visiting professor at Sunderland University.
And I'm Yitka Graham. I'm an Associate Professor of Health Services Research and head of the Helen McCardle Research and Care Institute, and I have a research position at Sunderland CCG.
It sounds like I've heard them before somewhere. So what I'd like us to talk about really is sort of, Anne, you helping, or the CCG, Sunderland CCG, helping VIX with funding and basically allowing us to be able to get this building in the first place. Do you want to explain a little bit what the CCG is all about?
Yeah, well, essentially the funding for the health services for the population of Sunderland comes from the central NHS England budget locally to Sunderland Clinical Commissioning Group. And really it's our job to look at what the health needs are of the population and then commission, so buy the services from all of the different providers across our system to meet the needs of the population of Sunderland. And within that, it's my role to make sure that they're of the right quality. So I look at patient safety, clinical effectiveness and patient experience. That's why I'm really interested in research and have that visiting professorship. And I think in terms of VIX, obviously this was something very new, and I can still remember when you came to the governing body and spoke to the governing body in public with your very unique direct approach. And you came and shared with us, in all seriousness, a patient story, and you talked about the difference, the very practical difference that VIX had made, that often I think core NHS services are not necessarily as responsive in the moment that you are. There's often a need for referral because obviously we need to plan services. So although there are crisis services in mental health, sometimes a veteran needs something different and additional to that. And what you described was that just, I think, missing piece of the jigsaw that we hadn't necessarily realised was there. And it was your very direct approach of when the chair asked how we could help as a governing body, which is our board and our decision-making meeting, if you like, you said, show me the money. And it was just, I think it was an opportune time where we had non-recurrent funding that we could look to grant. And obviously now we've got a really good working relationship and you're absolutely embedded and linked with all of the other services that veterans might need.
That was the aim, like we wanted to be sort of the main veterans service in Sunderland that everyone could come to with any problem. You know, I wanted it to not have to go to other people to make 2 phone calls. I wanted to have a service where anybody could phone us and then we could sort it out from there, you know, and it has worked. I mean, I wouldn't say I didn't expect it to happen. I didn't expect it to happen so quick, to be honest.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, this is sort of the end of my 5-year plan and we're only at 18 months.
Yeah.
So now we're going to have to open a training centre starting tomorrow. That's my plan for tomorrow.
But I think that really demonstrates, though, how quickly you've been able to make that shift and how there's that mutual benefit of you working with core services and with you and your team, and it's made it a real practical response for veterans, and it's engaged everybody, because I think the core services, who always want to do their best for people in Sunderland, and now help to do that because they've got a better understanding about what veterans need.
Well, when we open the training centre, I want to start doing some training perhaps to professionals on veterans awareness. I did something similar with Northumbria Uni, you know, I really want to roll that out, you know, and that'll be free, and well, I say it'll be free. We'll see about that.
Because it needs to be sustainable.
Well, this is it, see, we try to get everything done free, but at the end of the day, we need to pay rent, you know.
Yeah.
Well, it isn't sustainable to just use volunteers all the time. You need to have paid staff.
Yeah.
I mean, this is just moving now into a more effective business, you know. So hopefully, if the CCG is really good to us, we'll be able to carry on. Yitka, would you like to talk about Sunderland University and the work we may do together?
Yes, yeah. Well, we do have that existing piece of work
Yeah.
going on at the moment. But I'd say if it wasn't for Anne, we wouldn't have met.
Yeah.
So VIX, the university's relationship with VIX was very much facilitated through Anne, where, as the things were happening between VIX and the CCG, Anne was saying to me, we need to underpin this with research. We need to be looking at, it's a fantastic organisation, a fantastic setup. But, if the veterans have had a fantastic experience or if there's an unmet health need, we need to capture that evidence, not anecdotally, but capture it with a robust research methodology. So we were looking at how we underpin and how we support you, because you need evidence of the effectiveness and the reach and engagement of your services. So that's how we were sort of coming on to that. But sort of while this sort of introduction was being facilitated, we do some work with the armed forces at the university. And we'd applied through the Armed Forces Local Grants Covenant Fund for some funding to strengthen academic collaborations between military and veteran populations and the universities. As traditionally, you wouldn't think of just, people think universities are for students, but there's it's a wider issue, and a university, especially one like Sunderland, which is a community university embedded in Sunderland, as much as VIX and the CCG are, and but making that space accessible, so you don't have to come to university and take a course. We have veterans and we have serving members, we have reservists who are employees of the university, but how we bring that together, because with the specific military and the veteran population, it wasn't a space you could think of going. And we have the Glass Centre at the university, and through talks with yourselves, we thought, well, actually, and looking at the evidence for arts and well-being, just saying if we can engage veterans, I think it's very important to look at veterans and their families as well, that's a complete unit, and look what we could do as a university. So we use that funding from the Armed Forces Local Grant Fund to support an arts and wellbeing project where veterans and their families are actually coming into the Glass Centre. The programme is about to start, where we're looking at glass blowing, we're looking at ceramics, and the idea is actually the people that are taking part are going to create a set of tableware, and at the end of that we're going to have a big launch, we're going to have a big dinner, and then that ceramic, the glassware and the dinnerware are going to be donated to the Glass Centre as a permanent memento. But I think it's just the start of something much, much bigger. But I think that was an unmet need at the moment, and I think it's looking at something like art, which it's interpreted, it's what you want it to be, but I think it was creating a safe space for people to come together and take part in it. It's building a community, so I think it's just reinforcing what you're doing and just adding a bit of a dimension to it.
Well, we started art therapy, and they love it. They absolutely love it. All the poppies outside, the ceramic poppies.
I know, it's beautiful.
The tank what they made, all that's being done. Now they're moving into doing stuff for Christmas and that. And I like going to art galleries, but doing art things, I don't enjoy it. But I live with an artist, so there's stuff all over the house all the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's why. But they really, it sort of really gives them something to look forward to. So the Glass Centre being a massive place,
Absolutely.
it's going to be really good. Well, that's about it. Thanks very much for coming in.
No, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much for all your support going forward as well, and thank you for coming to the opening.
Our pleasure.
Thank you. I think, VIX has got a really unique position in Sunderland, and I think there's not many people in Sunderland who don't have a connection to somebody who's either currently serving, who's a veteran, or who's a reservist, because I think there's a big tradition in the city for the military, and I just think it's fantastic, and it's been a pleasure to
Thank
be
you
involved.
very much.
And we're both really proud to be part of it.
Yeah.
I'm proud. I'm proud for you to be part of it as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers.
This building, right? You stand outside, you're a civilian, all of a sudden you're coming in, you're different. I cannot explain it.